don't want pause to get wild nonsense. We got momentum, don't try to stop it. Diamonds are clearer than my conscience. I don't let bygones be bygones, it's I'm honest. Penthouse building reach heaven's heights, now that's what you call a God complex. Remember the days I was down low when it was out cold, but I went out and got it. Look at my milestones, man, it feel like the Dow Jones when you look at my pocket. Look at the flex, whipping the Teslas. Mess, but I'm it's all a finesse. Boy, yo, stop it, quiet, if it's new, I done got it, see my jewels, shining, white diamonds, Miley Cyrus, private jet, private pilot, look at me, stylish, masterpiece, body, young, hey, I don't know nobody, I'm on this every day, you cannot run with me, boy, I'm a heavyweight, baby, I know what's coming, I can barely wait, and when I was on, they wanted me gone, boy, I'm here to stay.
E aí, galera, everyone, and welcome. Love is in the air, but you want to know what else is in the air? Maybe some upsets. Hello and welcome to day 2 of the lock-in. And we're coming at you live from the Ginásio de Ibirapuera. I got that right, I think so, in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Of course, I'm Golden Boy here, spending my Valentine's Day in the most romantic way possible, sandwiched between 2 British men.
There's people that would pay a lot of money for that. People would pay a lot of money for that on Valentine's Day, and you got it for free. Isn't that lovely?
I can only be so lucky. Anyway, so, of course, I'm joined by Sideshow and Brandon. It's a pleasure to have both of you here today. And yesterday, we actually kicked off this 32-team single elimination event with 2 great matches. First, it was NRG versus Koi. And, you know, I think going into this, we all kind of just felt like this was going to be this had a potential to be a banger, but I was very shocked to see NRG dig deep the way they did.
Yeah, I mean, I think they had another classic NRG slow start in the first half, and then they warmed up. They showcased why being a pre-existing team with all of that synergy is going to get you deeper in a tournament like this.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was because Koi, played badly at all. They just are a newer team.
Yeah, I thought the match overall was actually quite good, but the second match of the day was a bit more one-sided, wasn't it? A bit of a beatdown by the Giants players onto Detonation. I hope that they're going to be able to get, some worth out of being in Brazil, maybe some scrim time as well at the end of this, because, a reminder, the stakes have never been higher with a tournament at the beginning of it as well, especially, we had, the plan is to get 32 of these teams in this tournament playing in a single elimination. And so from the get-go,
we got to fill in some more colors.
Yeah, we did. It's going to progress.
The dartboard's looking great. Of course, but here is the alpha bracket, and of course the matches that we have coming up today. Now we have FPX versus Carmine Corp, and then it's going to be BBL against DRX, and it'll be Cloud9 versus PaperX. Some pretty great matches today, Sideshow.
Yeah, I would say actually as well that when you look at the games that happened yesterday, you said on your intro that, that maybe there's an upset in the air. Well, I'm looking at the games today, and I think that there is a serious, massive upset potential, or more so, could be the biggest upset that is possible.
Absolutely. I think we've got an upset alert on our hands here, GP. Now, you don't know anything about this. We've decided to hijack the run of show and just insert these at moments of the day. Upset alert for this particular match here as well. I mean, I think today, honestly, the fact that the matches went kind of the expected way yesterday is not going to be a recurring theme, I imagine, over the course of it.
There's no way. It's a single elimination tournament. You're going to have upsets all over the place. And the match that I wanted to look at was DRX BBL, because I feel like if that one did go the opposite way, then people would be losing their minds.
Can I just ask, who asked for those graphics?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
Just keep rolling with the show. Just keep rolling with the show.
Be a professional. Be a professional.
But this BBL squad, honestly, there is real heavy hitters, I think, across the board. I mean, when you think of Turkish Valorant as well, they have individual talent just completely stacked across the board, and it really manifests, I think, in a player like Kushino, because this guy is just a definition of a star player.
But the reason that I'm bringing this up as well as an upset alert is because they did a poll previously, and there was something like only 3% of the viewers were expecting BBL to win this game.
Wow.
They have more than a 3% chance. Upsets are not, no team can ever be 100% in there. And when you're playing against players like Kushner and Brave and Turco on the other side of things, players that can really do something, you've got to respect the potential for an upset, for a major upset like that.
All right, well, look, I appreciate that you two are just trying to, create suspense for the pre-show. But guys, we have a really big match coming up. It's going to be C9 versus PaperX, and surely there's an upset alert for that, right?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Golden Boy, because actually, as usual, you couldn't be more wrong. We like to call this one the banger alert.
Yeah, this is a banger alert.
The absolute banger alert, giga banger. And everyone just sound the alarms because there's a giga banger on our hands today. Cloud9 versus PaperX is going to be nutty. You have Leaf and Ye on one side. Stop throwing me off. And Forsaken and Jing on the other side as well. Can you imagine a bigger clash than that between two duos on two teams?
This is the main card of the night, I think, honestly, between these guys, because it's incredible as well. We're getting this in the first round, this matchup as well. You've got, this absolute GOAT in the form of Ye versus the heavy hitters of PaperX as well. Our finalists in Copenhagen.
Move aside, WrestleMania. This is the main event.
I mean, the Cloud9 guys did a boxing promo-like video when they first announced their team as well. You had Ye in the ring with Vanity. So, really, they've got more experience than PaperX, don't they?
Yeah. All right,
if it does come down to a fist ball.
Okay. Okay.
A fist. Like, I was going to say fisticuffs, but that sounds way too British.
Tell me you've never gotten into a fight without telling me you've never gotten into a scrap. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, though. All right, you know what, guys? With the banger alert out of the way, because honestly, this is just absurd, let's just go ahead and get into today's poll question. What matchup are you guys
No, hold on, GP. Wait a second.
What the hell is going on?
It's a drama alert time, okay? Listen, I know you're trying to get on with the show and everything else, but there's also a little bit of extra news as well. I was doing some investigative journalism. I was going around, and it's investigative journalism as in the standards of most esports practicing as well. Yeah. So it was a bit hit or miss. But I will say, George. I managed to get a screenshot, a little picture, honestly, on my camera phone of the upcoming scrim from DRX. So if you look really closely here, you can make out that DRX, they've said that they're playing with Foxy9 in the main roster as well. This is the matchup that's going to be happening. But actually, they've been playing, listen, enhance a bit more for me, production. Listen, go deeper here. Listen, let's get this cleared up real quick. And look at this here. This is an leaked screenshot here of one of the upcoming, or one of the scrims that DRX ended up having against the Brazilian team that shows that Zest has actually been playing with them and they've been splitting that scrim time with him. Now, Stacks didn't come out outright and say that, you know, Zest was never going to play. He said there was a 1% chance.
He said no, he said there was a 0.1% chance.
A 0.1%
that Zest was going to play.
But this was recent in terms of scrims. And so, honestly, there's pros and cons to this. You can look at this. But if they're splitting practice time, it looks a bit, you know, it looks a bit awkward.
You just are like a conspiracy.
Mate, the off-season has been so rough on you. The off-season has been so rough. You're digging through blurred screenshots to try and find out who's playing.
It's good evidence.
Also, that wasn't your hand. Your fingernails don't look that good.
Well, that's insulting. Continue with the show, host.
Oh man, guys, you know I really miss my wife. Anyway, happy Valentine's Day, everyone. Just move on to today's poll question. What's got you on high alert? Is it the upset of the year, the matchup of the century, or Bren's twisted mind and imagination? Make sure you scan the QR code, cast your vote now, and of course, we'll have the results in just a bit. I'm sure you didn't, Poppy. I'm sure you didn't make it up. I'm sure.
You gotta believe me. I didn't make it up. You gotta believe me.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we return, we're going to dive deep, probably deeper than Bren went in for those pictures for today's match on FPX and Carmine Corp. That's going to be coming up, and as always, folks, you already know what I'm going to say. See you on the other side. Welcome back to day 2 of the lock-in. Now let's talk about our first match. It's going to be between FPX and Carmine Corp. And I'm so excited about this one because I get to see my boy Angel calling the shots. Artists on the... Hold on.
Listen.
Wait a minute. I'm actually being told that I'm old.
Yeah,
and that
you are.
I'm being told that I'm old and confused, and that apparently FPX is an all-Chinese roster now. What's going on?
Completely different team now, GB. Completely different team as well. And the starting roster, they are currently the head honchos when it comes to China in their own region. And there's some heavy hitters in this team as well. If you're looking at one individual as well, Yukoi likes to be known as YU in the scene as well, has been honestly making great strides for them. But they have overtaken Edward Gaming, which everybody remembers from Champs, as that #1 Chinese team.
Yeah, and that's why you need to keep your eyes on these guys. I'd say that they're still the underdogs in this match overall, but with China just starting to blossom as a region, there's still a lot of excitement and hype around whether or not they can deliver some level of upset result here.
Yeah, it's going to be quite interesting to see how this FPX team, you know, tackles a very prepared and game Carmine Corp, but also how they try and implement a little bit of their uniqueness on the stage, right?
Oh,
How
they got
it's going to be unique, man.
They got unique.
And I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be unique.
I really am. And, of course, you know, the two players to watch out for on this one are, I think, you know, Berlin and Ayan are certainly going to be players that we're going to have to keep our eyes on as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the initiator players for FPX itself as well, which usually puts them in the position to really set up their team to succeed. And, you know, when we think of Evo Gaming, the former top team out of China, where they're so heavy hitters based on their duelist play and their raw individual skill, FPX tries to drift more into that team play element as well. They try and copy the compositions as well from other regions.
And I think the reason that Berlin is so important to highlight is because he's the IGL for the team captain, and he plays such a high-risk, high-reward style. If you're looking for a player to zone in on, where you're going to see crazy highlights, but also some absurd decisions happening as well, take a look at the captain Berlin. And that kind of trickles down into the whole team. For Ayoung too, he's got the quality to be a star player, but he ends up playing a lot of the initiator stuff. So again, that naturally lends him to be much more aggressive than you'd expect from other guys that tend to set up the rest of their team. It's going to be chaotic, and that's going to be a challenge for somebody like Scream on the other side, IGLing, to deal with.
Ayoung plays initiator like his team forced him off of duelist. Like
Oh,
you already
like
had
everyone in rank.
Listen, the Jet, the Reigner, the Chamber already got locked in. He's like, I guess I'll play Sky then. Okay, I guess I'll play Sky.
If I must. All right, well, look, guys, we're getting an entirely new FPX roster in 2023. I'm excited about it, so let's go ahead, take a moment, and meet the team.
Hello, I'm Berlin from the FPX from Plus Phoenix， 然后我玩的是先锋位，很高兴认识大家。
Hello， 大家好，我是 AY 阿阳，我来自中国 FunPlus 俱乐部。我觉得我们整个团队的磨合啊，和比赛上的配合，还有心态，其实都已经达到了一个在国内很顶尖的一个。
我们 FPX 在战术上与其他队伍有非常大的区别。我们每个体系都是双烟，然后没有学油几乎都是。还有我们的烟角是雨神，还有 TZH。我们队伍里有阿阳，他也是负责先锋位的。然后还有我们的突破手是 YU， 然后他也很常玩守卫。
Berlin 他是指挥，他在队伍中就是经常补位。我这次比赛比较关注的队伍有2支吧，一个是 C9， 一个是 Sentinels。
至于选手的话，我觉得 Hans 还有耶意，我非常想对上他们两个，毕竟大家都知道他们的强度在哪，想要尝试看看。我并不会感到太多的压力，还有负担去面对这个比赛。我会抱持一个来学习的心态去偷学一些东西，然后让之后的比赛打得越来越好，然后让世界看到我。
你已经准备好跟我们比赛了吗？
Yeah, and I think for a lot of these teams that are coming, especially for our Chinese teams coming in, right, this is a great opportunity for them to mix it up with some of the best in the world, you know, like legends in the scene as well. I mean, those guys are going to take the stage against Scream.
Yeah, and actually Yinsu was talking to some of the players from China too, and they were really excited to be playing against Scream. Scream's a legend in that space. They really highly respect him, and I think that they'll get a lot out of just playing against him from almost like a fan experience as well as a playing experience. Because it's really strange when you are in that position where you're playing against your idols. You realize in that moment that I'm on that level, or at least I could be on that level if we're able to get over the line and beat them or make it close.
And one of the best things, honestly, that they can get out of this is that LAN experience, I think, at the global events. Because it's a thing that's been missing from the Chinese circuit as much. You know, we had them involved in Champions for 2021 or for 2022, but now moving forwards, I think FPX, listen, this is where you really start to work out what you can and can't get away with.
Definitely.
You know, because they're relatively untested, I would say, in their own region itself. You get away with a lot less when it comes to the global competition.
Yeah, I'm very much excited for those FPX boys to be able to play against a legend like Scream. And actually, speaking of him, let's talk about FPX's opponents, because we got got an all French-speaking roster with a few familiar faces that I'm sure you guys know very, very well. It's, of course, Carmine Corp. And Sideshow, the names that stand out immediately, obviously, are going to be Scream and Navira, but I'm actually really excited to see what XMS, Shin, as well as Nuzera can bring to the table here.
Yeah, it's a roster that has been designed so that you have that veteran presence from Scream and Nivera, and then you're also able to rely on that experience to build up some of the newer players. You know, XMS has been around for quite a while, but for Shin, for Nuzera, they're getting their first taste of what Tier 1 competition really looks like, but they're in pretty good hands.
Yeah, and they're playing, you know, more supportive roles as well across the board. And it kind of leaves that big question again about the IGLing element whenever we talk about Scream's teams as well and what he was doing, because it was a big problem when he was playing on Liquid. And now you're moving into this squad, and it sounds like as well the IGL reins are not going to be handed over to some of those younger players. It's Scream again who is holding the reins towards which direction the team's going.
And that is really wild, because when you've got a player that's as talented as Scream, normally you want to take the pressure off him, have the IGL pick up, you know, somewhere else on the roster, and let him go crazy, because Scream is a beast. You look at any of his stats and what he's done at previous tournaments, he tears the place up. But in terms of his IGLing, we just don't know enough yet about whether he's going to be able to get there. And it brings me back to what Rhyme actually was talking about yesterday from Giants, about this being the time to define yourself as a player. Are we now believing that Scream is trying to identify himself, define himself as the French IGL in the scene? That is a really big pivot compared to how you would normally put Scream into his box, as the superstar player from that region.
I think especially considering the questions we had when he was in that role on Liquid as well. They were playing some unorthodox compositions, they were playing some wacky stuff. You can make an argument, honestly, now that we're exiting out of this chamber meta, that now is the time that he can really actually flex and be rewarded, I think, for playing a bit of gimmicky stuff.
Are we gonna get
stuff.
Phoenix?
I mean, the possibilities there.
Are we even going to get Scream Duelist? Because the roles aren't necessarily perfect on this team in terms of like a theoretical, just throw them all in on what they're most comfortable on. So I think, you know, from what Scream said on his own stream that he might not be playing Duelist, I don't know. The guy loves to troll whenever you ask him.
Yeah, it's subterfuge, honestly. There's a lot of that going on before this event.
But, I mean, that's why we need you to do your investigative journalism.
I'm sorry, I'm just an esports journalist. There's only so much I can do. There's only so much I can do.
And like, we're out here expecting the big stories, and instead you're out here leaving us in the dark. But
I did say hello to him when he was getting his makeup done.
Oh, that's nice.
But that was it. That was the extent. So
Investigative Esports Awards Journalist of the Year, everyone. All right, well, Carmine Corp is a mix, obviously, of Valorant veterans and new faces. So, just like we did with FPX, let's go ahead and meet Carmine Corp.
Hey guys, this is Cream, team captain for Team Carmine Corp.
Hi everyone, I'm XMS, player for Carmine Corp, and I'm Flex.
It's gonna be my first event under this color, and I already enjoy it, and I can't wait for the support from the fans. We had a pretty good preparation with the team, starting from scratch, and this event is gonna be a good opportunity for us to show what we're capable of.
No one knows how we're playing. I'm pretty sure we will surprise everyone.
XMS is one of the players I played with before, a couple of years ago. He's very calm and he has like the experience I needed in the team.
I'm a passive player and I try to join as much as I can my teammates. I try to analyze what's going on and give as much as information as I can.
We have my brother, Nabil Nivera, and he's still young, you know, but he's one of the best potential guy I know.
The two brothers, it's special for me because I play with them on CS. In two different teams, and now I'm playing with both of them. Personally, it's like we have a good chemistry.
The two youngest players in the team, Nuzera and Shin, they come from KC before. They were in the first roster, and we decided to pick them up because of their role and their personality in game. They're more like into an aggressive game style, and the team fits pretty well together.
It's the first time I play in a French roster on Valorant. It's way better because everything you have to say comes instantly. You don't have to think about it. The main goal for the team is to go to the VCT champions. Obviously, qualifying to the Masters, winning the Masters, and be the best.
It's been a couple of months, so we don't have much data for the teams and for FPX as well, but we're gonna play our own game. I think they prepared pretty well, and I heard they were good. We're gonna be taking them very seriously and just give everything we have.
Even though a lot of people don't expect us going too far in the tournament, we will destroy you for sure.
Well, some interesting takeaways for me there was, and something that a lot of people wouldn't necessarily factor in, but a lot of our teams struggle with because of so many players coming from different regions. It's the ability to just speak the way you want to speak naturally, say what you want to say, and let it flow naturally. And for an all-French roster, I mean, this is actually going to be quite helpful for them, I have to imagine, even for the players who had traditionally not been in all French rosters, Brent.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal, honestly, when it comes to communication. Removing a lot of the obstacles that some teams might face in terms of that communication throughout as well. But also, it could just be nice, culturally as well, when you're surrounded by people from surrounding countries. You've got Belgian and French players, right, in this team. So it can be just good from that aspect as well. Team chemistry, a hugely important aspect of just overall teams that people often just overthink.
Yeah. I think though there's still so many questions about how this team is going to function.
Yeah.
The roles,
because we haven't seen them at all, right?
No,
like,
we
they
have
haven't
not
done any show matches, no invitationals.
I was watching VODs from 6 months ago to try and watch these players
sick, dude.
individually. Yeah, we literally were just in the dark regarding how they're going to be playing as a team.
And I feel like Scream's got a very individual way of how he views this game. It's really quite unique.
Yeah.
And so if he's completely in charge of how the team is structured and how it runs, then I think he's going to bring something quite unique to the table in terms of how he runs.
Yeah, but I'm very glad that you actually did mention uniqueness, because while we do expect Carmine Corp to throw us some very unique strategies and compositions potentially, roles as well, I mean, no one can argue, taking it back over to FPX, that when you want to talk about uniqueness, the Chinese teams definitely bring the thunder in that regard. And actually, we had an opportunity to sit down with one of the FPX players, because Yinsu and Achilleos earlier today had a conversation with Ayan and Yuchen earlier on to get their thoughts on the event.
Hello everyone, I'm joined by Achilleos here, and we're very, very, very excited because we're going to bring you guys an interview with two of the players from FPX. It is Ayan and Yuchen. Welcome. Now, we've had an FPX in an international tournament before. They were a very different FPX. You guys are kind of the new FPX. So I wanted to ask you, what are some of the similarities or maybe major differences between what we can expect from you compared to the last time we saw the European players take the stage? Now, 欢迎来到巴西。我们以前在这个舞台上看过一个叫 FPX 的队，但是你们现在是一个新版的 FPX， 你们跟他们在打游戏上有没有很大的区别啊？
我们的打法控图会给大家带来一种，就是我们任何地方都想去掌控，但是呢，我们控制区域的时候会很细心、很小心，而且也有可能是假的骗子。
He said that when you watch them, it looks like all they're trying to do is find space. They're just going in to look for space, but there's a method behind that madness. Everything they're doing, there's a system, and if they're not looking for a space, they've done that on purpose. There's a reason as to why they're not at a specific part of the map. So I think that there's a lot of depth to them that people are not seeing.
I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing it and how it's going to play out on the global stage. But speaking of which, this is going to be the first time that a lot of the English fans in particular are seeing you guys. This is a new exposure for them. How does it feel for you to now be, in this moment, in this opportunity where you're going to be playing on this huge stage in front of a live crowd?
这个是你们第一次来到这么大的一个舞台，是出国来的。然后你们以前有没有这个去过比赛这么大的比赛？然后你们现在想的是什么？紧张吗？兴奋吗？还有在巴西也会有观众的，所以你们觉得那样怎么样？
首先我们整个队伍肯定是第一次来参加这场比赛，然后在此之前我们没有过这种来大赛经验嘛，然后还是线下赛，观众粉丝都挺多的，我们肯定很紧张嘛。然后，但是我觉得我们通过来到国外这几天的集训，然后还有我们之前的一些战术的讨论嘛，我觉得我们这次比赛准备的挺充足的。至于太紧张，其实也倒不会，就是很期待这次能跟 Scream 一起同台竞技，我觉得挺好的。
This is the first time, obviously, they've come to a tournament this big. They've never sort of done anything like this before. At first, he said that they're a little bit nervous. They're going to be a little bit nervous, but it's more kind of an excitement. And now, after they've managed to come to Brazil and get some practice and from kind of the results from the past, they think they're going to be able to actually put on a pretty good show, and it's going to be a bit of an honor to share a stage like this with Scream as well as their first match. Yeah. 那你呢？
我紧张会有，更多的是兴奋吧，因为我以前打过其他游戏的比赛，但是那时候是没有观众的。这次观众这么多，我觉得对于我更多的来说是兴奋。
He's very excited. He's competed in other games before, kind of in a big tournament, but never with a crowd. So having that crowd is going to be really exciting for him as an opportunity. 那在你们在打比赛的以前，在国内打的时候，有一些国